I want to talk about Man Booker 2017 shortlist. But before I start, I want to say that I'm shocked and appalled that Solar Bones by Mark McCormack didn't make the cut. And I see a trend here in this year's prize. So I want to talk a bit about the judging process. Now, I have a little experience in this. So last year I founded a literary prize for small presses and was the chair of the judges. We had 50 plus entries. We whittled them down to a short list of 16, then a long list of 16, a short list of 8, and then there were 3 winners. Now, actually the 3 winners, or the winner and the 2 runner-ups, that wasn't a difficult decision. 50 plus to 16 was difficult. 16 to 8 was really difficult. And I will explain why I think that in a second. Now, when the judges arrive at, Man Booker headquarters or whatever, I'm sure they were met by a man called Ian Trewin, who is the kind of administrator. Now, what does he say to them? Now, I imagine he says to them, what I want you to look for is those novels that you love passionately, that you think should win the prize, that you love passionately. What he's not saying is, think about diversity or representation or author brand or the history of the prize or any of those things. He's saying, what do you love best? And then you can scrap it out as you narrow the list down. Because in a sense, that is the only criterion that we can use. Because the moment we get into diversity and representation and history and whatever, then it becomes just a kind of quagmire of argument. And actually the book itself, the expression, becomes almost secondary. The problem here is that there is no way to manage how in each judge's mind how that happens, because it is not like you have a long list, and their long list is 13, and then you put them all at the start of a running race, and then you shoot a firing pistol, and whoever gets to the end fast enough, those top 6 get in. That would be simple. What actually will happen is that those 12 or 13, the Booker dozen as they call it, are essentially going to be sort of all shifting and moving all around about the same the same place. There might be 1 or 2 that the judges feel so strongly about that they kind of move into another area. But most books will have bits where you kind of go, I love it, or it's brilliant, but do I love it enough? Or there are sort of intangibles, which means that they won't all rise to the surface in a very clear order. And at that point, what happens? The judges do start to bring in other criteria. And if I look at this list, I do wonder whether they've been slightly prejudiced against novels that have won other prizes, and especially a lot of other prizes, because 3 novels, Sebastian Barry's, Colson Whitehead's and Mike McCormack's, have been left off, and they've all won a lot of prizes. Because if you're sitting there and going, I love these books and I can't judge between them, I think you're going to go, these books have already had their exposure, but these haven't. It's a kind of human reaction to kind of go, I want my choices to make a difference, and my choices aren't going to make a difference for books that already have sold in the hundreds of thousands and all over the world and have been recognised. What about these books? Aren't we doing a kind of greater service to literature by introducing a whole new set of books? Now, I know that doesn't really work for George Saunders' Lincoln in the Bardo, which I think should win, and which I think is a work of near genius. Because of that reason, it's almost indefinably brilliant. And he's such a cool, smart, almost genius that he's almost undeniable. And I think he should win. He might win. And as I said, the books will by their own brilliance make it over the bar. But so many won't. And the reason for that is another reason is that having read a lot of books, having read in the last 40 years, having read whether it's Nobel winners, Booker winners, Pulitzer winners, and all, you get a sense for where the greatness bar is. And obviously, most novels fall below it because greatness is a very high bar. Sometimes they crash into the bar, and we have almost greatness, and then and I think Lincoln the Bardo makes it over the bar. But I can count those books over the last 5 years that have made it over the bar to be sort of 3 or 4 in my estimation, and some of them were written 20, 30, 50 years ago. So books in this year that make it over the bar. I mean, I think Solar Bones gets close to it, but so we're not judging that kind of all of them made it over the bar or whatever. It's more sort of, I don't know, straightforward than that. It's like, here's 13 great novels. We've got to get them down to 6, and we've got to pick a winner. And actually, in the end, once you've gone, I love all these books, you then start to think about impact. You then start to think about how you can make a difference. What's the narrative of this year's Booker? And I think somehow they've decided we're going to park those books. We're going to recognise them in our long list, because we obviously can't not do that. But we're going to park those books that haven't made, that have already made a splash and have already done their business. And we're going to give these ones exposure. And then George Saunders will win.